protesters upset about the detention of a former Columbia University graduate student accused of organizing anti-Semitic demonstrations occupied the lobby of Trump Tower in New York today. Senior correspondent Eric Shawn shows us what happened from the streets of New York across from the tower. Good evening, Eric.
Good evening, Brett. They chose President Trump's iconic Trump Tower to protest his policies on Israel and to support activist Mahmoud Khalil. The pink marble first floor atrium was filled with angry chants and protest signs as about 150 demonstrators from the activist group Jewish Voice for Peace took over the lobby for about 2 hours. Police arrested 98 protesters and charged them with trespassing and resisting arrest. They demand the Trump administration release Khalil, the prominent leader of the Columbia University pro-Palestinian demonstrations. Khalil is a legal U.S. permanent resident here on a green card who is married to an American. The White House considers him a threat to U.S. foreign policy by leading a movement that aligns itself with the terrorist group Hamas and has moved to deport him. Experts say Secretary of State Marco Rubio does have the legal right to kick him out.
This is not about free speech. This is about people that don't have a right to be in the United States to begin with. No one has a right to a student visa. No one has a right to a green card, by the way.
But Khalil supporters say that he is being targeted illegally because he opposes President Trump's policies.
We're here in the name of peace, and we're asking for Mahmoud to be released. He was taken illegally by the ICE department. He was kidnapped by the United States government. I don't really understand what Donald Trump's intentions are, and I won't speak for them, but I will say that the impact is causing a lot of harm to people who are asking for peace.
And tonight, Columbia University has announced that it has expelled or suspended some of the students who seized a campus building last year and has even revoked the diplomas of some of them. As for Khalil, tonight he remains in an immigration detention center in Louisiana, pending the outcome of more legal arguments in his deportation case that is set for next week.
You want to have some ice cream with my friend and me?
Get lost, greaseball.
First you get the money, then you get the ice cream. When you get the ice cream, then you sniff the girls.
Good morning, Free for All Friday. We are very excited to have made it through another week in the golden era. Lots of victories and wins. And we're going to cover so many of them on the show today, Friday, March 14th, 2025. Hunter Biden has fled the country. The prosecutions of Hunter Biden will be very interesting to see what happens next. Yesterday on the program, James Comer was saying, no, you're not out of the doghouse just yet, giving the Trump administration advice as to how to lock up Hunter in spite of his daddy's fake pardon. Was it done with auto pen? We're going to ask. Lara Trump is on the program today. We'll also talk about the protesters at Trump Tower with Lara Trump. Man, it's going to be a rockin' show. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. A important reminder that we are headed to an event today, a historic event with President Trump at the Department of Justice. Oftentimes, the president doesn't visit the DOJ because they show some type of illusion of I don't know, disconnectivity between the two. No. It's the President of the United States. It's his administration. He should be there to institute and deliver justice. And so we will be at the DOJ with Pam Bondi and with Kash Patel and with newly minted Dan Bongino. Not sure. I guess I'm going to have to check. President Trump and a number of special guests that we'll have on the program, and we'll be reporting from that event, and also we'll be filming some exciting man on the street content from BLM Plaza in DC. So we have a slightly shorter show today. Who will be heading with us to DC? Patriot Mobile. You know it's going to be Patriot Mobile right here on our hot little hands. Patriot Mobile device that always keeps us connected and keeps us going on the road, keeps us locked and loaded with a cell phone company that actually cares about Christian principles, that cares about this country, that cares about the First Amendment. And that's really important when you're communicating. And this is something that we are going to use to protect ourselves today. There are a lot of psychopaths in Washington, D.C. A lot of our friends are getting swatted right now, actually. And it's very dark, and we pray for people's safety. Anyway, the point is that when psychotic libs come up to us, we'll make sure that we're filming today. And we'll also make sure that you are connected for everything that we do. The TikTok of the day will be brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Ladies and gentlemen, get on Patriot Mobile now. What are you waiting for? Go to patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT to get a free month of service with the promo code Benny. Switch to Patriot Mobile today to defend freedom with every single call or text that you make. Visit patriotmobile.com/Benny or call 972-PATRIOT. Okay, so I want to talk about things that, I guess I never thought I'd say on this program. I want to thank Rosie O'Donnell. Never in my life did I think I'd start a show by saying thank you. Thank you to Rosie O'Donnell. Now, Donald Trump has a lot of celebrity grudges, but the grudge with celebrity Rosie O'Donnell is the single oldest one and the most entertaining one, and also a historic one for this reason.
You don't like
ladies
fat
and
pigs?
Historic, and I don't use that word lightly. There was a historic exchange between Donald Trump and Rosie O'Donnell that I would argue launched President Trump's political career. President Trump was polling at like 1%. I know that's crazy to think about, but it was the case. Most people thought that President Trump was lying and was just doing this to get famous. We'd never seen a Hollywood celebrity or a billionaire run for president before. Donald Trump was facing a Republican field, a crowded one at that, in Cleveland, Ohio, when he was asked this first question by Megyn Kelly. Nasty question. And President Trump fielded it perfectly because he had Rosie O'Donnell as a metaphorical punching bag. Here we go.
Women, you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals. Your Twitter account...
Only Rosie O'Donnell.
No, it wasn't. Your Twitter account...
Thank you.
I was in the audience for this. I was so stunned. And also something that's really remarkable about this moment was that it showed that President Trump was totally and completely immune to these style of attacks based on his own humor and his adept and his ability to play the audience against the press, which he's done every single other time he's had a massive, large audience. So I always ask for this. This was in the arena that the Cleveland Cavaliers play in. There are 20,000 people present, and you can hear them roar. But let me tell you, as somebody who was standing right there in the front row, that roar was louder than anything that's ever happened at a professional sports ball game inside of that arena. People loved this. It was the first introduction to President Trump on the scene. And, well, Donald Trump was right. We actually dug into the archives. I asked the production team, hey, can you find the clip that Donald Trump is referring to when he says only Rosie O'Donnell? Like, is that true? And sure enough, we were able to find it. Here we go.
Disgusting. I mean, both inside and out. You take a look at her, she's a slob. She talks like a truck driver. Rosie attacked me personally because I was very happy when her talk show failed. The other thing that failed, and this was a real monster, and everybody was suing her, was her magazine. Her magazine called Rosie was a total disaster. So I loved it. I gloat over it. I think it's wonderful because I like to see bad people fail. Rosie failed. I'm happy about it. She's basically a disaster. Well, she called me a snake oil salesman. And, you know, coming from Rosie, that's pretty low because when you look at her and when you see the mind is weak. I don't see it. I don't get it. I never understood. How does she even get on television? I believe Barbara made a terrible mistake putting her on, and I think Barbara's probably paying a big price. If I were running The View, I'd fire Rosie. I mean, I'd look her right in that fat, ugly face of hers. I'd say, Rosie, you're fired. We're all a little chubby, but Rosie's just worse than most of us. But it's not the chubbiness. Rosie is a very unattractive person, both inside and out. Rosie's a person that's very lucky to have her girlfriend. And she better be careful or I'll send one of my friends over to pick up her girlfriend. Why would she stay with Rosie if she had another choice? She's trying to use ABC and The View to get even with me. But with me, we fight back. I'll probably sue Rosie because she doesn't tell the facts. As an example, I'm worth many billions of dollars. Now, she said I was bankrupt. I never went bankrupt. So probably I'll sue her because it would be fun. I'd like to take some money out of her fat ass pockets. I actually think they ought to look at her whole life and see where she's coming from, because I think she's got some very deep-seated problems. Perhaps it should be Rosie that goes to rehab. Rosie is a loser.
I wasn't ready for this. I wasn't ready for Trump to go full berserker mode on Rosie O'Donnell. And it clearly has had an effect. Having that man become the most powerful person on earth twice, Rosie O'Donnell not doing well. This is Rosie O'Donnell's first post after President Trump won in a sweeping landslide.
Julie Andrews. That is 100% Julie Andrews. She has the scar right there on the back. Oh my God, this is the best moment of the last freaking 14 days or whatever number we're on. Please, everyone, believe. You know what? Julie Andrews lives. TikTok, you don't stop.
Oh my gosh. We say this a lot at the company. You don't have to post it. You know, you don't have to post. You don't have to put this content up. You could just look at the video and decide not to hit send. Rosie O'Donnell decided to hit send on this video also, shockingly.
Well, hey, everybody, it's Friday all day, as my Nana would say. And look what I have on my lip. Everybody's been saying, you have herpes all this time, and I never had a cold sore in my life, and now I have a cold sore. And it makes me think that perhaps this weird pimple that had a tiny little head was a cold sore.
Okay, all right, discuss. Second. There used to be protocols for a thing like this, right? Like if somebody was this sick and this gross and this disgusting, you wouldn't let them into your country, but sure enough, Rosie O'Donnell has deported this week. This was very fun information. We didn't get a chance to really cover it on the show directly. Diehard liberal Rosie O'Donnell reveals shock relocation as she leaves America after Trump took office. You'd be surprised, it's shocked in fact, to learn that extremely left-wing Rosie O'Donnell didn't deport to Haiti or to Venezuela. No, she went to Ireland. Rosie O'Donnell decided to flee to Ireland with her herpes in tow. Again, you'd assume they'd have tests at the airport for things like this and send people like Rosie home, but sadly not.
O'Donnell would still be living in America.
I'm here in Ireland, and it's beautiful and warm, not physically, it's actually quite cold. Moved here on January 15th, and it's been pretty wonderful. In the process of getting my Irish citizenship, as I have Irish grandparents. When, it is safe for all citizens to have equal rights there in America, that's when we will consider coming back.
Kevin McCarthy is the former Speaker of the House. Can you believe Rosie has left the country?
Well, as an Irish American, I'm excited as an American, but as Irish, she kind of destroyed St. Patrick's Day for Irish.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin McCarthy. So, the first off, major takeaway from all of this is we get cheap gas and cheap groceries and a secure border, and we get to deport Rosie O'Donnell. This is the single greatest administration in my lifetime. And the second thing here is the Irish leader, the political leader of Ireland, was at the White House this week. People saying online, I sure hope that he doesn't ask us to take back Rosie O'Donnell. In fact, Donald Trump did clown Rosie O'Donnell inside of the White House. Donald Trump told the leader of Ireland, you're better off not knowing who Rosie O'Donnell is.
Ireland is known for very happy, fun-loving people, great attitude, many in this room right now that I've met. Why in the world would you let Rosie O'Donnell move to Ireland? I think she's going to lower your happiness level.
That's true. Thank you. I like that question.
Mr.
Do you know
Are you expecting?
Do you know who she is?
Yeah. I'm joking.
You're better off not knowing.
President Trump. Okay. All right. So we get Donald Trump with a bit of leverage over him, sadly, right? like as this post states, Donald Trump might potentially be, well, able to be muscled up against because of this. Trump, we are going to tariff Irish whiskey, Irish Prime Minister. If you do this, we will deport Rosie O'Donnell back to America. Trump, Ireland is going to be exempt from all tariffs. I could totally see something going like that. President Trump does have a deep, visceral hate of Rosie O'Donnell. And I do find it particularly interesting that all of these individuals, all these Hollywood elites are fleeing right as the Diddy list heats up. You know, Diddy's going to trial like next week. Yeah. Anyway. Ellen DeGeneres fled to the UK. Libs always choose like majority white nations. Isn't that fascinating to flee to? She went to the UK after posting this back in 2016, November 4th of 2016. Happy birthday to P. Diddy, or as I like to call him, Cuddle McSnuggle stuff. You don't need to know why. And she tags Diddy. And then they start releasing, by drips and drops, the Diddy list. And you're like, oh, well, maybe this stuff makes sense now. Ellen DeGeneres' set certainly did look kind of like the Epstein Island Temple.
You know I have to arrive fashionably late.
All right. Not too late, though.
Not too late?
Not too late, please.
What time would you like me there?
I'll tell you later.
Okay.
But not too late. Because, you know, once you get there, the party really starts.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you. I promise you I'm not going to let you down on this big one.
All right,
For
good.
real.
Good.
Your shoes, your feet are going to have blisters. You're going to be dancing so hard.
I can't wait.
Oh, okay. You're going to have blisters because of what I'm going to do at my party to you. Got it. So, Ellen deports, Rosie deports, and now, ladies and gentlemen, the news of the day, Hunter Biden has self-deported to South Africa. That's right. You almost had it. You almost had a non-white country. I have a feeling Hunter Biden is at the very lavish resort part of South Africa. Let's go here. Hunter Biden may be avoiding testifying in laptop suit because of possible 3-month trip to South Africa. 3 months. Oh, well. Is there any extradition treaty with South Africa? Can anybody explain? Can we work on that? Hunter Biden is trying to dodge a deposition in a lawsuit involving the infamous laptop because he wants to decamp to South Africa for 3 months. He's using LA wildfires as an excuse, you see. It's amazing. He pulled the reverse mayor of LA there, where he's actually leaving because of the wildfires instead of being in Africa while the wildfires are ongoing, which is what the mayor of LA did. She was on vacation in Africa during the wildfires. Tough time. Former Trump White House aide Garrett Ziegler, whom Hunter Biden, whom Hunter claimed illegally hacked his laptop, spreading embarrassing content, is fighting the Biden scion's request for to drop a lawsuit against him. Biden said that in a filing last week that he cannot pursue the suit because he's too broke and his art's no longer selling and nobody's paying him for motivational speeches. However, Ziegler now alleges that Hunter's situation isn't nearly as dire as he claims. He really just wants to go on vacation. He believes that Hunter had planned a 3-month trip to South Africa, and that's why he's attempting to avoid a deposition. In the filing, he also alleged on the trip that his the home country of Hunter's wife, Melissa Cohen, might be why Hunter's side has ignored Ziegler's overtures to start settlement talks or enter into mediation. Ziegler's filing said he's also working to confirm the facts published by the New York Post. Last week, the Post exclusively revealed that Hunter Biden's home appeared untouched by the wildfires. Photographs showed all the surrounding homes destroyed, the most destructive fires in LA history. While Hunter claimed he couldn't afford to keep duking it out in court with Ziegler, he said his home was unlivable. It seems to be another lie. Hunter also claimed that he couldn't get out of millions of dollars worth of debt because nobody is buying his memoir or his artwork or wants him to speak. We note that Mr. Biden did not expressly claim that he lost his home or belongings, Ziegler lawyers wrote. And while fires were devastating for many, it does not, however, serve as an excuse to avoid litigation or responsibilities. Ziegler's an aide to trade advisor Peter Navarro during the first Trump administration says the lawsuit should continue to play out in court so he can get a chance to go after Hunter for $200,000 in legal fees. It's very interesting. So Hunter Biden is self-deporting, again, to probably the white parts of South Africa, and there are quite a few of those. This is something that was confirmed by Laura Loomer, also with her reporting, saying that Hunter Biden is at a resort in South Africa. She says she has sources there that show that Hunter Biden has Secret Service protection at a very posh resort in South Africa, same time that Zelensky is going to South Africa. So that's a little strange. We know that Hunter Biden had business there in Ukraine with the biolabs. What's that about? Not exactly sure. Very mysterious, and we don't believe in coincidences around here. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But Laura Loomer with the reporting that Hunter Biden, with full Secret Service detail, which should be cut by Donald Trump. I can't believe that some of the people like Mike Pompeo and Bolton, Hunter Biden, they're getting Secret Service detail. This is insane. Hunter Biden's detail should be cut immediately. But also, if he's so broke, how is he affording a trip to South Africa for 3 months? None of it makes sense. All of it seems totally and completely fraudulent. And, well, I got to tell you, we've asked the source himself, going directly to Garrett Ziegler, which is what we asked last week, this program. Garrett Ziegler, what are you about to do to Hunter Biden in court? And what do you think he's actually trying to pull here? Very important clip. Garrett, you beautiful man, you. This is like your third or fourth time in the program. We have always been a massive fan of yours. You published the full Hunter Biden laptop, for those of you who don't know, at the founder of the Marco. There it is. And now you have, I guess, won your lawsuit. The Hunter Biden sued you for publishing for publishing the contents of this laptop that are his. And now Hunter Biden is arguing in court that he can no longer continue that lawsuit. So where does that stand?
Well, thanks for having me on, and I am always willing to wait for DJT. So anybody else in the world, I have all the patience in the world for him, because I think his back and forth with the press is so important, considering Joe never did that. So Hunter, Joe's son, wants to cry uncle, and he wants to cry uncle because we noticed a deposition upon him and his sugar brother, Kevin Morris, who has lent him $7 million as sort of an in-kind campaign contribution to Joe. He's wanting to dismiss the lawsuit in a way that is horrible for us. So we're not litigious people, our group. So he sued me and the nonprofit Marco Polo, but he's wanting to dismiss it without prejudice, which in non-legalese means whenever he gets a new sugar brother or a new patron, he can just bring the case again. Of course, any sane defendant would not agree to such conditions because we would be prejudiced by that. We don't want to have to deal with this. I want to move on with my life and maybe go help the government. So this is in the judge's hands now. We filed a response to his, what's called an ex parte application, which means we only had 24 hours to respond. Ex parte, again, a non-legalese, is just emergency. He filed this emergency motion on Wednesday. We had until 3 p.m. yesterday to respond to it. And we have like 4 arguments, which is there's no emergency going on. The real reason is that he doesn't want to sit for a deposition and be deposed by me or Kevin Morris, his sugar brother. And number 3, if this goes forward, we are going to be able to get discovery that he thought he would just be able to run out the clock. So we have a fact discovery. I know I'm getting in the weeds, but the case isn't technically dismissed yet because we told the judge, if you are going to grant Hunter's motion, we want our legal fees reimbursed, which for this case alone is $197,000. Wow. And now his sugar brother sued me in the nonprofit in state court. That one's $200,000. So I make this offer to Hunter publicly. If he wants to get rid of this, we will agree to a dismissal with prejudice, meaning he can't bring the case again, and that he reimburses our legal fees, which right now are about $397,000. And again, we're a nonprofit with a total budget of like $600K, Benny. So that means that half of our income, half of our donations have been fighting this man-child, this Peter Pan-like figure. He turned 55 last month, and everybody talks about him like he's a 22-year-old college sophomore sowing his wild oats. This guy's a man-child. So our demands are very reasonable. All we want is dismissal with prejudice so that Hunter can stop legally harassing me. Very reasonable. I think all of our donors, all of our grassroots donors understand why we're doing this. We don't want to continue this lawfare, but if the judge grants Hunter's request, Hunter will be doing essentially, I'm not a golfer, but it's essentially a legal mulligan, right? Hunter wants a mulligan because he doesn't want to suffer a depot. And he's saying that the fires are a convenient excuse for him to get out of this. Now, anybody who lost their house is rightfully sad, and it's a tragedy, right? But Hunter didn't own the house, Benny. It was a rental.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even have to deal with the insurance claim. You and I, real adults, right, with mortgages maybe and home insurance claims, that's what Hunter doesn't have to deal with because he's a Biden. And as Joe said on a hot mic to the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Florida, nobody F's with a Biden. So normal things like homeowners policies, Hunter doesn't have to deal with that. That's for the little people, the hoi polloi. So we're not going to lay over and die this easily. We want our fees reimbursed and for Kevin Morris and Hunter Biden to shut up about me. They put in their papers yesterday that I hacked his iCloud. Benny, I know this is a soliloquy, but this is my last statement. I can't even hack an iCloud if I tried. You know why? Because I can't do it. I'm not technically proficient. I can write and I have a BA in economics. If I'm guilty of what Hunter is accusing me of, Apple would pay me like a $10 million bounty because they pay that much to patch bugs in their system. I can't hack an iCloud. That's preposterous. We got a standalone hard drive of his corruption, drugs, and business deals and put it into a report. Nothing was connected to the internet. They sued us under a criminal statute, the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. I'm not a hacker, man. It's all bogus.
So it seems like by claiming that he's broke and he can't continue the lawsuit, Hunter Biden is actually trying to weasel his way out, find a new sugar daddy, and then maybe bring the suit again. Maybe don't get like strung out on crack and throw your gun in a garbage can next to an elementary school, leave your laptop at a repair shop, sign over the actual rights to the laptop to the repair shop owner. Maybe, like, don't do drugs, kids. Maybe that's the overarching lesson here. It might not be over for Hunter Biden. We made quite a bit of news yesterday with Jamie Comer, chairman of the Oversight Committee, saying that Hunter Biden needs to be dragged in again for questioning by the Trump administration. He might be desperate enough to finally just give up the ghost. Could be very interesting. Here's James Comer. You've never used your position to like bully the guy. It was just a simple through line because Hunter Biden was clearly the bag man, as you've established in all of your extensive reporting with your committee. Now the game is completely up, man. And that guy, that new filing that he has against Marco Polo, like nobody's bought my dad's out of office now. Nobody's bought my art. I'm totally impoverished. Apparently my house burned down. I've got no speaking gigs. He was supposed to have a bunch of inspirational speaking gigs. No one's bought my book.
Yeah.
Boy, man, it must be nice to have been so right from 2,000 yards, Mr. Chairman, because you've been calling out this fraud for a very long time.
Think about this. For 4 years, Hunter Biden didn't have a job. You know, the whole time Joe Biden was president, Hunter never worked anywhere. He lived in that big mansion in California. That was paid for by Kevin Morris. That was Kevin Morris's, luxury condo. He drove a car that he didn't own. The only income was the sale of artwork, and we found the only people that bought the artwork were big Democrat donors.
And Kevin Morris.
No one knows who paid his legal fees, and no one can imagine. You're talking millions, tens of millions of dollars in legal fees because we went up against that legal team every day. And who paid for the legal fees? You know, so I don't care who you are, unless you're Elon Musk or Bill Gates or someone like that, you can't go 4 years without having any income and live that kind of lifestyle. There's no way to save that much money. So now, let's say he had his money in offshore accounts. They don't care. I mean, those countries, sometimes it's not a good idea to put it. You see movies all the time where people have offshore accounts in these corrupt third world countries, and then they go to get it. They're like, no, it's gone. Sorry. If you got a problem, you can go to the United States government and complain about it because you weren't supposed to have the account anyway. I mean, I think that there's going to come a time very soon where you could catch Hunter Biden in a position where he would actually talk. And I really encourage the Trump Department of Justice to haul him in at some point in the near future and ask him some questions about, do you want to tell us again? You did that deposition from Comer, and a lot of what you said wasn't true. Do you want to try to start all over and, just take a deep breath and answer some questions as to who was actually paying your legal fees? Who was operating the auto pen in the White House? What about those classified documents that were mishandled? How did they get there and who all saw them? I mean, there's so many questions that need to be answered. If he gets desperate enough, maybe the Department of Justice and the Trump administration could hit a home run there.
So, yes, hopefully we get a little bit of justice for president's children around here. And now joining us, ladies and gentlemen, a president's daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, to talk about all of the exciting happenings at Trump Tower. Here we go. Lara, welcome back to the show, and you've launched a brand new Fox News show, and it's wildly successful. We love it. We're binge watching it, and congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm very excited. It's been super fun, and I'm glad everybody's been tuning in. My father-in-law told me very clearly if I wanted to break records with the viewership of my show on Fox, My View, I would have to have him on. I haven't yet had him on, Benny, so I'm ready. I already broke some records. When he comes on, the whole thing's going to melt down. I can't wait.
The entire administration's been on the program. It's awesome. You got to check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Lara Trump, My View. It's an incredible show. And I would love to get your view on, this happenings at Trump Tower. It's been quite a interesting news cycle. The same group that took over Congress and effectively insurrected, refusing to comply, pulling fire alarms and stuff in Congress. They took over Trump Tower today. Have some of the footage right here. There are a lot of arrests, over 100 arrests. They refused to comply with police officers. Can you give us a status update?
Yeah, well, the NYPD was incredible. I'll say that. We are so lucky to have them. These are people who, have a thankless job, especially in a place like New York City. They're understaffed. We all know all the stories of all of it. And they came in and they swooped in. I'll tell you what, Benny, they did an amazing job clearing everybody out of there. And really making sure that the people who live and work at Trump Tower, because it's not just, kind of a tourist attraction. There are many companies who, conduct business every day out of Trump Tower, and people live there too. It's half commercial, half residential. They got everything under control, and we're very grateful for that. But yeah, it's a scary thing when, these people come in and they act absolutely insane. They're very clearly organized. They're very clearly funded pretty well based on all the matching shirts and the signs that weren't homemade. And it is probably the same group of people funding this group as the folks who've been funding all of the terrorism on the college campuses. And I'm going to call it that because I don't know any other way to describe what they've done to Jewish students on these college campuses. And probably the same people who've been funding all the stuff, the George Soros days, or the George Soroses of the world, funding the George Floyd riots and all of the like. So same group of people. They're just there to disrupt. They're there to cause chaos. But thank you to the NYPD. Great work.
So are there any charges that might be filed here? We saw a lot of people getting arrested, right? Put in handcuffs and taken out to police vans and buses. Yeah. Hundreds of people arrested. As you noted, this isn't a public building, meaning, you can go and walk through the metal detectors and go into the U.S. Capitol, anytime that you want to. It's a public building. This is a private building. There's security there at Trump Tower. And so this is big time trespassing, right? And then they're not following police orders. So Are you interested in pressing charges here?
Well, I would talk to Eric Trump about that. He runs the Trump Organization, and obviously that is who is in control of that entire building there. What I will say is that I'll remind everybody who the district attorney is in that area. That's Alvin Bragg. And so I sure hope that we see something happen to some of these people because, it's one thing to honestly protest in a very peaceful way and to make your voice heard and all of that. But this was a little ridiculous. And by the way, Benny, the thing that really gets me about this entire group is the fact that if you want to get people on your side for something, you're trying to convince people. this is not the way to go about it either. I'm always kind of baffled by the goals of a lot of these people. They're advocating for a guy who, basically should not be in this country to stay in this country. It is a privilege, not a right, to have a visa and a green card. And when you do things that are anti-American, and our Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, and our President, Donald Trump, deems that you should not be here, you got to go. And this guy probably should be made an example of, and maybe we need to do it a few more times. These people are fighting a battle they're not going to win. Donald Trump is serious. Marco Rubio is serious. This is the kind of rot we want to get out of this country. We want good people here with good intentions who are actually law-abiding citizens and are, part of our culture and are respectful to, kids on campus and the like. So I just, the whole goal of the whole thing is kind of wild to me.
Yeah, the terrorist sympathizer that these people are protesting for, Mr. Mahmoud, has regularly stated that he wants to end Western civilization. He wants America to burn. Why are we on the hook to provide him a green card and education if that's what he believes? And I think zooming out a little bit, Laura, we saw the sort of ripping up of BLM Plaza this week in Washington, D.C. That was a scar on the face of that beautiful city. That protest was directly aimed at your father-in-law. They were storming the gates of the White House. They were burning down White House buildings. There was a White House building that got burned. St. John's Church got burned. I know you've been there many times. Your father-in-law had to be brought down, I think, into a secure bunker. At least that's what reporting says. So it's like these people are actual terrorists. They are actual insurrectionists. They're dangerous.
Yeah, and this is the kind of stuff that we really need to stand up to, and no one has done it. That's the whole thing. Is I'm personally so grateful that we have a president who holds people accountable, because nobody did anything the last administration. They let this fester. They let this boil over. And in a lot of ways, I feel like they kind of encouraged it from a lot of different fronts. And that's a scary thing for the future of this country. We have a president in the White House right now who's saying, no, this is not going to fly in the United States of America. You can't terrorize people. You can't go around and vandalize property and violate people's rights and prevent kids from walking to their classrooms to learn. That's unacceptable in the United States of America. I'm just grateful we have someone who's actually calling it out and who's actually doing something about it. Because, Benny, you don't call it out and you don't do anything about these things, it's going to continue to get worse. And unfortunately, that's how we've ended up right here where we are today with this kind of thing going on. But you know what? It's not going to fly with the Trump administration. So good luck to these people.
So we've been following this story all week, and we're very excited to actually go get a piece of BLM Plaza. You have pieces of the Berlin Wall. You get various various souvenirs
Memento
from communist
for yourself. Yeah,
souvenirs from fallen communist regimes. That's got to be like a very positive. It's got to be a very positive moment for your family, because that protest itself was so violent and was so threatening and was so damaging to the country and the national psyche. To have that still there in Washington, D.C., when your father-in-law took the oath of office again, was nuts.
Yeah. And it's about time. I mean, it's shocking to your point that it was still even there. It was time for it to go. This entire period in our country's history is, quite frankly, a stain. And this is one part of it, to divide people based on their race. And that's what all of that was about. It was awful. It should never have happened. But this entire past several years in America, to see the lawfare waged against Donald Trump himself, to see the way that our, judicial system was weaponized against a political candidate, things that, Benny, we thought we'd never see in America. It happened here. The fact that people were locked down, kids couldn't go to school. God, it really feels like we're finally surfacing on the other side of a very, very dark period in American history. And things like that road that was a reminder of it all. Yeah, they got to go. I'll give, by the way, credit where credit is due. Bill de Blasio, who I'm going to argue is probably the worst mayor New York City's ever had, would go out of his way, spend New York City taxpayer dollars to repaint as often as he possibly could Black Lives Matter right in front of Trump Tower there on Fifth Avenue. Just, we all know what that was about. I wonder, by the way, how the taxpayers of New York City feel about wasting money on that, but I digress. Eric Adams has not done that. And I want to just say that was kind of a nice thing to see, a breath of fresh air, if you will, to see that, because it's just gross. We should have never had that happen. And it's time for all of that to go. We're done.
I know that you love the city of New York, and I know that you're tied to the city of New York. And so the mayor is very important. I know that Andrew Cuomo is announced for mayor. Eric Adams, obviously, is still going to run. He might run as a Republican or an independent. Some people are rumoring that. Do you have any insights there as to, will your family be endorsing? Do you know any of these candidates? Do you have a favorite?
I will say the name ID for Andrew Cuomo is probably a strength of his. I think if anyone for a second reflects back on the COVID period, that's going to be a big weakness. That's going to be a big problem. That's probably a hurdle that I don't know he's going to be able to get over in New York. Eric Adams has been making a lot of sense lately to a lot of people. And so I've heard rumors as well that there's a possibility he maybe switches parties and runs as a Republican. I'll make sure everybody remembers the time when we did have a Republican as mayor of New York City. His name was Rudy Giuliani, and he cleaned that place up. It was a cesspool. It was a terrible place to live. It was almost uninhabitable. And Rudy Giuliani came in and just cleaned the place up from top to bottom. And that's what New York City needs. It is so sad to see that this is the greatest city, as far as I'm concerned, on the face of the earth. New York City is the pinnacle to everyone of success, of business. If you make it there, you make it anywhere. Everybody knows the saying. And what has happened over, the course of the past, I'm going to say 8 to 10 years has been terrible for New York. It's so sad to see. And we all want it to come back. And no one wants it to come back, by the way, more than Donald Trump himself. And so, look, whoever it is, whoever emerges in this race as the leader, I hope that this is a person who really seriously knows how to do the job of cleaning up New York City, getting, the homeless population settled and getting them off the streets of New York, making sure our police officers have the resources they need so they can actually fight crime. Maybe we get a DA in there who will actually prosecute crimes and not just go after Donald Trump. All of these things would be really nice. New York City has to come back, but it has to be with a mayor who is going to have a little bit of common sense. We need a Rudy Giuliani back.
Yes. President Trump with a massive victory in New York. Chuck Schumer signaling that he's going to allow the continuing resolution to be voted on with the Democrat caucus. Donald Trump getting his big, beautiful bill with the support of Democrats. And we'll see how it goes with the final vote.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't got much. I mean, if it's just like one dude with a cane and like looking like a Geico caveman, like swinging his cane around and yelling at your father-in-law, and that's pretty good. I mean, if that's the best they have, that and Jasmine Crockett, you're doing well.
Yeah, Jasmine Crockett, Al Green, a bubble gum, looked like everybody chewed up pieces of bubble gum, all the pink, the women, they were like, let's all wear the pink, that whole thing. Just none of it played. They were all just with like a sour puss on their face. No one more so, by the way, than Nancy Pelosi, who was a great one to watch. If I had just a camera on her of the entire joint address to Congress, I could watch it for hours. They have nothing. This is a huge problem in this party. And when you have people like Van Jones, when you have anchors on CNN, Benny, saying, what are the Democrats doing? Where are they? They are so lost. They're throwing everything at the wall, the fighter videos, the cringe, all the stuff. It's so bad. And you know what? They clearly haven't learned their lesson. If you watched any of them re-electing or electing their new leadership of the DNC, every single one of them, when they said, raise your hand if you think it was because of misogyny and racism that Kamala Harris lost, all of them raised their hand, Benny. They've learned nothing. And I'm going to say good luck to them. They're apparently over this weekend trying to figure out their talking points and their direction. They've got nothing, though. So the problem, I think, is Donald Trump is moving at warp speed. He's going so fast on offense. They don't have a second for defense, and they're just flailing. And I got to be honest, you love to see it.
The fighter video is so cringe. I'm so glad that you brought that up.
Terrible. It's one of the worst. The cutting of USAID money has really devastated Democrats. They used to have like good speechwriters and like content creators. You used to have like real strategists from Hollywood come in and like fix these people. You know what? I'll be honest. We heard about apparently, allegedly, AOC has been paying for dance lessons with some kind of money that maybe she shouldn't have. I can only hope, Benny, that it's to film another one of these videos and somebody did something for them, because none of this is working. It's terrible to see. My gosh, bless their hearts.
We have an AOC dance compilation, man. It's really apparently the lessons have very much not been paying off. AOC, I mean, you're talking about deportations for criminal aliens, and that was why the protest was in Trump Tower. There's another criminal alien that self-deported that worked for AOC, which is crazy, at a top level, deputy comms director. And he was a criminal alien, and I don't know how that's even possible inside the federal government.
Outrageous.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of like competent New Yorkers that are actual American citizens that would be happy, presumably, to do that job. But yeah, this is like a criminal alien. In like, you see a lot of classified information, you see a lot of secret information. She's posting for one of the most followed members of Congress in the entire Congress. It seems like a huge security issue. Would you be in favor of an investigation there?
Well, I think I'd be in favor to know, how the heck did that happen? This is kind of wild. I'm all in favor, by the way, of the self-deportation. The CBP One app, which the Biden administration used to funnel all these people in, just let them all in. You click on this app, you go wherever you need to go. The Trump administration has now changed that so that you can go ahead and get on your phone. You can self-deport anytime you want. And that's I think we're going to see more of that happening. But yeah, the fact that you have someone who broke our federal laws to come here with access to top level information and individuals, a little concerning, and makes you wonder how on earth, Benny, that was allowed to happen. So yeah, let's check it out. Let's see what we find out.
One final concerning issue that has made a lot of news, and it's a little nuanced, but Trump talked about it today at the White House, the auto pen issue.
Oh my God.
Talk about like illegitimacy and not being here, like not being with it. This is now proven. Now they've come up with, they've found multiple auto pen signatures that clearly is a machine signing for Joe Biden. So who's in charge of this machine? Does this nullify Joe Biden's executive orders and laws?
And
if he didn't know he was signing them, how can this possibly stand up in court? Like this is clearly not a real presidency.
Well, Benny, it's all been fake. The more we find out, the more we find that it was all fake. The signatures were fake. The hype around Kamala Harris was fake. Joe Biden being okay, fake. His Oval Office, Alina Habba the other day exposed remember the set that we used to see him on? It's fake. That
was our hit. She did a hit from the set at our show and then did the video.
It's all been fake. It's like that movie Wag the Dog. If anybody ever saw that, it's just all been orchestrated and planned. And we as Americans, honestly, are lucky that nothing worse happened to this country over the past 4 years. Who the hell was in charge? I don't know. That is terrifying to know. They're just using auto pens. Literally, Benny, anyone could have signed anything for Joe Biden. And you even had Speaker of the House Mike Johnson talking a couple weeks ago about, I don't remember exactly what it was that he was asking Joe Biden about, but he says Biden didn't even know that he had put something into law. He'd signed something into law. He said, well, you signed it. And Biden said, no, I didn't. He said, here's the evidence right here. You signed it. He didn't know anything. Fake. It's all fake. It's all terrifying. But this is why nobody wants to be a part of this party, because it's all phony. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's all fake. And people want authenticity. They can smell phony from a mile away. And I'll tell you what, you don't get more authentic than Donald Trump. That man, for all that they have put him through, he is his authentic self all day, every day. I love it. America loves it. And the Democrats at some point are going to have to start loving it. Otherwise, they're going to continue to lose. And I'm here to see it.
Laura, closing question here, because it somewhat applies to you. You've been on the program. You said that no matter what happens in this country, it's your country. You're going to stay here and you're going to fight. You're a mother. You have a beautiful family, and you're an American. This is your home.
Yeah.
But libs actually don't believe that, and they fled. Rosie O'Donnell went to Ireland. Ellen went to England. Hunter Biden has now fled to South Africa for an indeterminable amount of time. It's a very interesting trend, and I'd love to get your take on it.
Well, it's about time. And good riddance to a lot of these people. I hope the door didn't hit them on the way out. It's pretty amazing to see that they're going to this length. And the funny thing is, what's going to happen, and I guarantee you this is going to happen, they all left, the Rosie O'Donnells, the Ellens of the world, whatever. They're trying to make a big scene out of this whole thing. This is a big, play for attention. And look at me, I actually left. Great, congratulations. Their friends back in America in about 6 months are going to be like, wait a minute. Things are really going well here. Inflation is gone. We've already seen, by the way, gas prices have already gone down. They're at the lowest point they've been since March of 2021, throwing that out for people. It's going to continue to happen this way. And even their very liberal, crazed Democrat friends, far left, are going to be like, I don't know, it's kind of nice. And then they're going to regret it. And they're going to be so upset with themselves. And I just have a little note for Rosie O'Donnell. You went to Ireland to escape Trump. Guess what? We got a Trump golf course in Doonbeg, Ireland. So go on down, get yourself a dose of Trump anytime you want, Rosie. It's on the house.
That's amazing. I find it unique that they the woke always choose majority white countries to flee to. They never go to Haiti,
Yeah.
It really makes
and
you
if
wonder.
you look at the politics of Ireland too, I don't know. It's very curious, the decisions there, but I digress.
Ladies and gentlemen, my view, here is the landing page for it. You can check it out. Such an amazing lineup of incredible guests. I don't know how she gets this kind of access. I don't know. It might have something to do with the last name. I don't know. You got to watch it.
It's a fun time. It's 9:00 on Saturday nights. It's fun. You know what? It's a little different. It's different than anything else on Fox. We really sit down. We get in depth with people. We're really exploring all the things, the Maha movement, all of it. So we're doing a whole crypto episode this weekend, by the way, because people are like, what is crypto? We had the White House Crypto Summit, Benny. People still are a little not sure about it. Check it out. We're going to break it down for you. So we have a fun time over there.
2 million plus people follow Laura, and you must be one of them. Obviously, you probably already are. But if not, head on over there to get it straight from Laura Trump herself. Thank you, Laura. Godspeed. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, as stated, ladies and gentlemen, we are headed up to D.C. today. We are going to have a rowdy good time. Looking forward to it. We do have some interesting takes on this terrorism of the left. We want to push for that, obviously, at all times. We want to continue to ask, because what they did to our men and women on January 6th. I mean, they tortured these people who just trespassed into a public building. And 99.999% of them did nothing other than trespass. These people are actual criminals. These people are actual terrorists. These people actually hate America. They want to destroy, burn, and kill. And so we've been asking this week. Yesterday, we had Leo Terrell on the program, and we asked about the BLM protests and what should happen to these violent left-wing protesters. Leo Terrell now works at the Department of Justice, so straight to the source. Let's go. They staged a literal insurrection. They charged the White House. They burned down buildings that are on White House property, torched St. John's Church, and then threatened to kill Trump. The whole goal was to kill the president of the United States, and that was their stated goal. Yet there's not a single terrorism charge for any of those protesters, Leo.
Well, that's the... Go ahead, please. Go ahead, because you're absolutely correct.
I find that, not only do I find it egregious, I find it immoral, because what it says is that you can keep doing this.
Well, let's also remember during the summer of 2020 riots, you had Kamala Harris funding a bailout program for criminals. You had a police department in Minnesota burned to the ground and celebrated. And then you had a left-wing media organization, I don't want to mention its name, CNN, claiming that there wasn't a riot and there was burning in the backdrop. This is what the American people did not sign up for during the Biden administration. This is what the American people signed up for by re-electing President Trump as our 47th president. And I'll tell you right now, you're right. Where are the convictions, the prosecution for those people who committed crimes, who committed violence? Nothing. It wasn't done at all. These people were looking at, to me, they were Democratic constituents. But what I'm telling you, Benny, is simply this. there's a new sheriff in town. He's in the White House, and there's one in the Department of Justice. And this country is yearning for law and order. And one of the reasons why I'm here is because I want to work with Pam Bondi. When President Trump appointed me, I said yes, because country first, not my pocketbook for the elite. And that's why the Democrats are on the outside looking in without any direction or without any guidance. Everything Trump is doing right now is what he promised during the campaign. And the voters said, we want you, President Trump.
And, well, no love from the White House for terrorists. Carolyn Levitt this week on Mahmoud and on the privilege that it is to actually live here in this country. Could not agree more. Here we go.
Question here on Mahmoud Khalil. Does the administration believe that it needs to charge a green card holder with a crime to be eligible for deportation?
Well, in fact, Secretary Rubio reserves the right to revoke the visa of Mahmoud Khalil, and I'm glad you brought this up. Under the Immigration and Nationality Act, the Secretary of State has the right to revoke a green card or a visa for individuals who serve or are adversarial to the foreign policy and national security interests of the United States of America. And Mahmoud Khalil was an individual who was given the privilege of coming to this country to study at one of our nation's finest universities and colleges. And he took advantage of that opportunity, of that privilege, by siding with terrorists, Hamas terrorists who have killed innocent men, women, and children. This is an individual who organized group protests that not only disrupted college campus classes and harassed Jewish American students and made them feel unsafe on their own college campus, but also distributed pro-Hamas propaganda, flyers with the logo of Hamas. That is what the behavior and activity that this individual engaged in. And I have those flyers on my desk. They were provided to me by the Department of Homeland Security. I thought about bringing them into this briefing room to share with all of you, but I didn't think it was worth the dignity of this room to bring that pro-Hamas propaganda. But that's what this individual distributed on the campus of Columbia University. And this administration is not going to tolerate individuals having the privilege of studying in our country and then siding with pro-terrorist organizations that have killed Americans. We have a zero tolerance policy for siding with terrorists, period. Peter Ducey.
Thank you, Caroline.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as much as we would love to talk about even more exciting topics on our Free for All Friday, we must depart. We will see you up in Washington, D.C. Doing this a lot. We've been doing this a lot, Klein. You know what? It is the duty of this program to bring you the news, and sometimes we have to be part of the news. And so with us for travel safety and security, we have our verse of the day, and we hope that it carries you into the weekend. Verse of the day from Jeremiah 29. For I know the plans that I have for you, says the Lord. They are plans for good and not disaster, to give you a future and a hope. Ladies and gentlemen, carry that into the weekend, and this is the most glorious, and blessed, privileged, and awesome country on earth. We are fighting right alongside of you, and we will win. We did win. We're going to win even more. Yeah, sick of winning. That's your country right there. And remember, the plans God has for you is a future and hope. All we got to do is fight for it. It's your boy Benny. See ya.
You want to have some ice cream with my friend and me?
Get lost, greaseball.
First you get the money, then you get the ice cream. When you get the ice cream, then you sniff the girls.
The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the oldest kings, and their dying legacy, media deal weeds. Soon will the Benny Show come to mind us all from lives for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for number one. Come Come to mine the salt from lids for fun. Leave the gold and bring the gun. We sail for #1. The biggest ships in the sea, all owned by the old.